All right, welcome back, guys. Here with Mike Ponte, a good friend of mine, and we've just we've had a tiptoe through the archives of really getting kind of the backstory.
Yep.
We've talked to Mike now about he's identified who his ideal clients are. We talked a little bit about your elevator pitch. So now you've got somebody interested
Yeah.
in that. What's the next step in the process for you? So those 9 people that came to that
Yeah.
meeting, and all of them, you probably didn't group them together. You did 9 individuals, I would imagine.
First of all, we did it as a group presentation.
A group
and I kept
presentation,
it
yeah.
really, really simple. And again, some of the lessons that I learned when I first got started is you don't want to overcomplicate your presentation. You want to keep it as simple as you possibly can. And again, wife gave me some great insight when I presented to her.
Yes, we never tell me more about what that
Sure.
insight you did, and also your simple presentation.
Okay, so this was quite the eye opener. Again, going back to my days at Saputo, here we are running a pretty big portfolio, multis of millions of dollars, managing major accounts and all that stuff. And I couldn't raise $50,000, $60,000 to save my life.
Yeah.
And the truth be told is I remember having this binder, probably 3.5, 4 inches thick, full of statistics and numbers and all this wonderful stuff, and going out and meeting potential clients or potential prospects and sitting down at coffee shops with them. 3.5 hours later, page by page, the same response came at the end. I'll think about it.
I'll let you know.
I'll let you know. And for those that are in sales or have been down this road before, that's just the death call.
It's no.
It's a no. And so, when we did roughly around 30 of those, and 3 hours times 30, you can understand the frustration that is there. And I remember talking to my wife one evening, and she was like, you know what? I'm like, something's wrong. This is not working. She's like, well, pitch me. So I started my presentation. And within 3 minutes, she's like, stop.
Yeah.
You're talking about yourself and you're talking about the investment, but you're not talking about what I want. And I'm like, and again, there's your aha moment again. And it was true. And so the important thing is when you're having this discussion, is it's really about understanding exactly what they're looking for.
Yes.
And having clarity to what their specific objectives and goals are, and why are they wanting to get invested in real estate to begin with. And having that clarity, because when you're actually meeting one-on-one behind the coffee shop, at their home, or wherever location that you're planning on meeting them, that discussion is going to be, you need to have that clarity about what they want. And secondly, are you able to achieve what they're trying to succeed in?
Yep.
And it's an interview process, not just from them, but from you as well. You are looking to bring on a partner, or when I said this earlier, it's like a marriage. You're looking to bring somebody on, and you're going to be married to them 3, 5, 10 years.
Right.
So how do you know that that's the right fit? They may come and say, hey, I've got $20,000. I'm ready to invest. I want you, and my goal is to turn that into $1 million in 3 years. and my comment to that,
here's some Bitcoin.
My comment is, when you find that investment, let me know, because I'm ready to throw some money into that as well. So it's kind of also managing their expectations. And when somebody says something like that, the meeting is going to be the meeting is going to end very, very quickly, because if that's their expectation, and you got to be realistic and honest with yourself, can I truly deliver that? And if that's the discussion, truthfully, there's no way I can do that. What I can share is, this is what I'm able to do. This is a target, this is a budget, but it is an investment at the end of the day. And things tend to happen, good or bad. And as we've all learned from the whole Alberta recession, and we're
2 recessions in
10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Not that we know about any of that.
Correct. But the reality is, things tend to happen. So it's always about understanding what their expectations are. Are you honestly able to achieve that? And sometimes one of the hardest things to do is to say, I can't do that. I want to wish you all the success and luck, and let them go. But that is the right decision, especially down the road. So.
The last thing for a decision criteria is that they have the money.
Correct.
That's actually one of the, and I get that some of you might be going, you're watching this and going, yeah, that's BS. You'll get to that point that, and how you'll get to that point is when you actually make the wrong decision by only taking it because money is the worst thing for a criteria.
Yep.
They need to have it. They need to be part of that. But honestly, that's the lowdown on the list.
I agree. 100%.
Right? You have to enjoy the time. You have to be completely aligned. I'm sitting there and I'm just smiling ear to ear because everything you're saying is like, it's just, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And even the other part to this, as you know, as we kind of talk about this, it's also, you're talking to these individuals, and you got to also be in alignment with their personality and the individual as a whole, because you got to ask yourself, can I actually be in a marriage with this person for the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah.
And you got to be very honest with yourself. If you are finding issues from the very beginning, chances are there's going to be much bigger issues 3 to 5 years from now. So. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's fantastic. So you know, I know your wife. She's amazing. Just like we both belong to we married way above our weight class.
Yes, sir.
Both of us have way over married.
Hopefully my wife's watching this.
Exactly. And so that was fantastic feedback that she gave you. And it's 100% true, guy. Every one of us, we sit there and we think we got to present, and it's all about us, and it's all about my numbers, and it's about the presentation deck. It's can you fulfill upon their challenge?
Correct.
Can you fulfill upon their hopes? Can you fulfill upon their dream? And really, at the end of the day, you're making an investment, and not just taking it, you know, short term.
Yeah.
It's a long term. It's a long term
There's
process.
no question. And maybe I'll enhance that a little further. But you know, when you're actually presenting and talking to these people, they could really honestly care less about what your return on their investment is. And it's going to sound kind of really strange. But you are not selling your return on your investment, period. You are selling yourself.
Yep.
And it is all about, you know, if you switch roles and you just said, if I was the money partner and I was about to give Russell $100,000, what is it specifically I am looking for as a partner?
Yeah.
And, you know, I've done this exercise several times. And it's funny, once you start to really break it down, like some of the keywords, trust,
Yep.
Accountability, track record. You know, can I really trust this person? And that's the real key one: is can I trust Russell with $100,000 of my money? Do I feel confident enough that I can trust him with it? But when that answer is actually yes, I trust Russell 100%. It really doesn't almost matter what type of deal you're bringing him, because they trust you 100%. And so once you have that type of relationship with your potential joint venture partner, and once you get that understanding, is not selling the deal, but sell yourself. What are you able to do? How, you know, are you going to be really respectful for their money? Are you going to really take care of them and take care of their money? You will be able to get repeat business, but more importantly, you'll have a much better relationship long term with your joint venture partner. So.
Right on. So for those of you following the modules in a modular program, that's what Mike talked about is the mirror exercise, where you sit there and you list out all. If I was to invest my $100,000, what qualities do I need from Mike? And I list everything. I list everything out, and then I take that list and I flip it around, and everything on that list I need to become.
Correct.
Right?
That's exactly it.
That's the exercise. So make sure you do that one as well. So you're now investing, you still have single families, but you're primarily into multifamily.
That's correct.
Investing now. You've found that it's been an easier way to raise capital for multifamilies, or it's just different, or what's been your experience with multifamily investing?
To be honest, it's different.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's this sexy appeal to the multifamily. It's a bigger deal, all that kind of stuff. But you know, we'll still look at residential deals if it makes complete sense. If I've got an opportunity to take a look at it, we'll always look at it. But our focus is really in the multifamily side as well. You know, we're actually closing on another single family as well. We've raised capital to do this. Fine, no problem. It's great. But yeah, you know, there's a little bit more of an appeal to the multifamily side. People like it. The other part that I tend to find with multifamily is for, you know, a person that's just getting started in the real estate world, in their mind, they could do a single family property. It seems to be pretty easy. They can just go out and buy a property. It's just the assumption: I'll buy a property, rent it out, everything will be great. There will be no issues. And I can just sit back and watch all the money come in. But their mindset when they're looking at multifamily, it's all of a sudden, oh, you know what? It's a little out of my league. I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. this is where you can be a little bit more successful in raising capital from that
Right.
from that type of property. So,
Lots of people cut their teeth on a single family.
Absolutely.
But then you just, I think you hit the nail on the head, is you now have more of a specialized knowledge once you get into
Yes.
multifamily. It's not saying it's good or bad or it's better or worse,
Correct.
but in the perception of an investment partner, it's going, ooh, I need Mike to do this because it's even more involved.
Correct.
And you just add more value
that's correct.
to the transaction.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so before we talked about our wives, which we'll talk about our wives. Always, they're the most important people in our lives.
Absolutely.
I talked about the next step in the process. So we've had the meeting. I've said I'm interested. Everything checks out. We're all in alignment, and we're banging a drum and we're singing "Kumbaya" together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
What do you do? Is there a piece of paper, a process? What's the next part of your steps?
Well, so for me, once the meeting has come to a conclusion, I usually let them marinate on that for about 48 hours.
Yeah.
So I'll get the time to take a look, time to think and review. And at that point in time, and usually at that meeting, I will provide them with something called a letter of intent,
Yes.
right? Or a letter of understanding more than anything. And it's just clarity to what the structure of the typical deal would be, what their role would look like in regards to the capital raise. In some cases, they will have to put up a personal guarantee and a few other different types of things in regards to the qualification process. So we just really summarize in a 2-page document what the letter of intent or letter of understanding would be, and understanding split. So again, it's a really simple layman's term document.
Clarification document.
Correct. And so there's no questioning about what was presented, or there's no misconstruing it. But more importantly is, you can't come back to me 3 years later and say, hey, Mike, that's not what we initially talked about back then. This is, and again, we've got that sign off. So once that sign off has been signed off, completed and done, then at that point in time, we will start sending opportunities to those individuals. So.
Do you have an opportunity in mind already, or do you go shopping, or how do you chicken and the egg typically sometimes? Which one do you do?
Yeah, so for me, when it comes to the multifamily side specifically, I try to partner up with people that are of like mind. So it's trying to keep, based on kind of what their goals and objectives are. Some of them will focus maybe more on the residential side. Some will be more focused on multifamily. Some people, their concern is not really so much cash flow. They're looking from a stronger equity position. So it's trying to have a better clarity and trying to partner up individuals into those types of projects separately. So I tend to I never actually present a real deal in my first transaction or our first meeting. So we kind of talk in more general terms of what a typical deal may or may look like. And with the numbers we stay extremely conservative, very, very conservative. And obviously the goal is to be significantly higher, but we always stay significantly less than what we've always achieved. So then again, there's no real surprises. And at the end of the day, we want to meet their expectations. So
really it's kind of like a case study almost.
Very much
really. So your simple presentation, it's all about them, obviously. What do you present in that simple presentation?
So the presentation is actually, I start off with kind of a questionnaire, just a real simple 2-page document, and it's about just having clarity of what is it they're looking for? If we want to look at them 5 years from now, where would their life be? Tell me about.
Have you taken this course or something?
I don't know. Maybe I did.
Should you be teaching it?
Where they currently are at financially, where would they like to be? Having a little bit of understanding of exactly kind of their current investment strategy right now. Some of the goods, the bads of it. Understanding their risk tolerance as well. So, for example, if somebody is wanting to be on the higher end of the risky side, then that's possibly a relatively reasonable thing. But if they're in the complete opposite, where they are not willing to take any risk, if they reference it as 1, then we have a kind of a scale of 1 to 6. And if they go to kind of the ones category, I really question if I'm actually going to do business with them.
Or at a worst case scenario, to be a lending relationship only.
Very much so. Yeah. So from that perspective, it's trying to better have that understanding. So with that being said, we go through that questionnaire to begin with. Then I kind of just talk a little bit about what we do and how the structure works. Go ahead.
I don't mean to jump over
No,
you.
that's okay.
Just for clarification, so you actually do not present until you actually have that information questionnaire done.
Correct. That's actually the first thing.
You actually have to have the information from the people about what to present.
Correct.
Because it's a very difficult for them to say no if you actually are presenting what they told you they want.
That's correct. In a lot of cases, we'll actually send them the documentation in advance of our meeting. So we get them to complete it. I'm going to say it's 50-50 upon completion when we tend to meet. But we're always prepared for that. And that's where we pull out the document, because that is the first thing that we need to understand.
It's like a know your client.
Absolutely.
Because here's the thing too, guys. It also is protecting your behind as well. Because, you know, if security commissions come knocking on your door, they're going to ask the questions, well, how well do you know these people?
Yes.
Oh, by the way, here's how well I know them. I know what their investment portfolio is. I know what their risk tolerance is. I know all this kind of stuff. It's your know your client, know your client as an investment opportunity. You're just protecting yourself too.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. But the big thing for me is, again, you're interviewing them. Again, you're looking at them as an interview. If you went to go hire somebody, guaranteed you will have a list of questions to ask, and you'll be referencing good or bad. And that same thing actually applies here. And you know, the mindset as the real estate expert is, you know, they're interviewing me, they're screening me. I totally look at it completely differently. I need to understand, can I actually work with them? And based on that, if I get past the first criteria of the questionnaire and I can say, then we proceed. And in some cases, in lots of cases, I'll get through the questionnaire and it's just like, you know what, I wish you the best. And and maybe we can work with somebody else.
So really, this goes back to the original line of questioning, is about the fear of asking people for money. Is really, you're not asking anybody for money. You're actually prescribing a course of action to help somebody fulfill upon their goals and dreams and hopes and ease their pain.
Correct. Yeah,
it's really like a doctor would do. Right?
It's exactly the same
and
thing.
A doctor would understand that language is, I'm here prescribing a course of action for you.
Correct. That's exactly it. So yeah.
Wow.
So we start off with a questionnaire, and then from a presentation perspective, I gone through that kind of 3.5, 4 inch binder full of stuff to 1 page.
Nice. Nice.
And it's a 1-page document. It is kind of a summary, and actually it's a summary of kind of my overall portfolio. And it's just kind of a typical deal. 1 page, no address, no nothing. Keep it really simple. And say, this is what it would look like. But before I present that out, I talk a little bit about our strategy in regards to how we acquire properties, how we look at properties, the types of areas we like to look for. And then based on that, we start to look and screen a lot of types of properties. And this is kind of a typical deal.
So, and I'm going to just summarize this. So here's, I'm being I'm a good student myself. So the student is now teaching the teacher. So I'm going to recap a couple things you said there. Number one is, a lot of people get hung up on their presentation. It's more important to qualify somebody than the presentation.
There's no question about it.
Right? The better you do of qualification, pardon my language, the shittier your presentation can be.
There's no question.
And I'm not saying your presentation is crappy. So if you take the time to qualify and ruthlessly qualify, not be a jerk, but really qualify them hard, get them to the point where they're going, well, geez, I'm applying for something. It's almost like they're trying to win a lottery or something with you. So better you qualify them, the simpler the presentation can be.
Well, to even enhance that further, it's really like, by you asking all of these questions, it's actually showing that you really care about them. And again, this is what it's all about. It's all about the trust factor. And by you asking these questions, and in some cases, you're stumping them. Because the one question I ask is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Based on, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's a stumper for so many people. It's probably about 70% of the people have no idea. They haven't had the chance to speak to their spouse about that. But you're forcing that discussion right then and now. And by having that clarity, it's making you look so much more professional, because it's showing that you actually are really caring about them. And secondly, that you are caring about them, and that you're wanting to help them achieve what they're trying to accomplish.
And in the terms that we've talked about in the Academy, it's called a future pacing question. It's essentially what you're doing is putting them into the future. What has to happen in order for this to be successful? Where do you see, how do you define success? And then if they don't know, then you're trying to say, well, okay, what do you want to accomplish? So let's say we make some money, $100,000. What would you do with that money? It's another great question. Then you tell them, well, you know what I would do is I would have that money set aside for the kids' college education fund. You got it. You know their why, and everything you present from there is, we're now trying to get your kids' college education fund together.
That's correct.
You're not selling a piece of real estate and an investment opportunity. You're selling their kids' education fund.
That's correct. And really, real estate is just a vehicle. That's all it is.
It's a bridge.
That's all it is. Because, really, nobody has a goal or a dream that I want to own 30 properties. That's not a goal, really. It's what that 30 properties is going to provide them down the road, be it a vacation property, be it, again, your kids' education, or property or cottage, a vacation property, whatever the case may be. But that's what those 30 properties are going to help provide that. Because trust me, having 30 properties truly is not a goal, and you'll learn that soon enough. So
you guys will, everyone will be in that boat. I hope you actually are in that boat one day to going, geez, I'd be better off with 12 free and clear houses than having 50. Right?
Agree, 100%.
So the end of goal is, and I'm having this conversation with a lot of people right now. Everybody, it's a bit of a tangent, but everybody's sitting there going, I want to lever this and just keep borrowing and borrowing. Well, there comes a time where that money has to be paid back.
Exactly.
It's actually, life becomes a lot different when you're free and clear.
Yep. I agree.
And maybe it's just because we're old now, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah. You know, for me, I look at our properties and there's always this nice treat that we get at the beginning of the year, and it's kind of how much we've paid down on the mortgage. And I should say the tenants have actually paid this down. But every year, I look at that number, I'm like, that money is sitting in a wonderful small account that is just ready to get paid back into these pockets at some point in time.
That number... it's probably, I probably will know the answer, but it's probably significantly larger than what you were drawing from a salary before.
There's no question about it. It's gotten to a point now, like I've been doing this now for, I think we're like pushing 16 years. And like I tell you, it's an amazing number. It starts really small to begin with, but once you start paying down that principal, and I should say the tenants are paying that down for you, it starts to add up. And I look at that, I'm just like, wow, in 10 more years, and I'm starting to see some of these things completely paid off. It's a wonderful treat to have these little nest eggs all over the place. And it's a nice thing to be thinking about.
Yeah,
so
nice. Yeah. So I'm here with Mike Ponte, and the next line of questioning we're going to dive into, I think you're one of the best business operators that just in our conversation and our lunches, the way you structure it and some of the administration and things like that, you actually you earn a living off of real estate. You're full-time real estate.
That's correct,
right? And that's the goal. Everybody goes, how do I become a full-time real estate person? I can just sit there all day long and watch Days of Our Lives. I'm teasing and joking. but Mike has found a way of doing this, and it's through some painful lessons along the way, right? Those, how do you put the groceries on the table when there's no rent, when you're vacant? And things like that. So that's the next line of questioning that we're going to get into, is how you operate your business, how you structure a lot of your portfolio, and really some profit centers from you. So we'll be right back, guys.